Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. Alembic Database Migrations, Episode 1 of 8. You run a manual database command directly on your production server to add a single column, and suddenly the application locks up. Your deployed code expected one structure, the database now has another, and there is no simple undo button. This is why we are looking at the case for migrations. When a software project first starts, changing the database schema is easy. You drop the tables and recreate them. Once you have real users and real data, that is no longer an option. Making manual changes across different environments like development, staging, and production eventually leads to a mismatch. Your application code relies on a specific database state. When that state drifts, the application fails. Alembic solves this by acting as version control for your database schema. Just as you track the history of your source code, Alembic tracks the history of your database structure. To use Alembic, you initialize a migration environment. This is a dedicated directory structure that you commit to your source control repository alongside your application code. It contains the instructions and configuration required to modify your database over time. The environment consists of three main pieces. First is the root configuration file, named alembic.ini. This file lives at the base of your project. It stores basic settings, primarily the database connection URL, telling Alembic where the target database actually is. Next is the versions directory. This is where the migration scripts are stored. Every time you need to change the database schema, a new Python script is created in this folder. Each script defines two actions: an upgrade function to apply the change, and a downgrade function to revert it. If you need to add a table for user profiles, the exact instruction for that change lives in a script right here. The final piece is a file called env.py. It is easy to confuse this with a general application configuration file or a place to store system variables, but that is not its purpose. Here's the key insight. The env.py file specifically bridges your application models with the Alembic migration engine. It sets up the database engine, manages the connection lifecycle, and most importantly, it loads your SQL Alchemy metadata. This tells Alembic exactly what your models look like in code, so it knows what the database schema should eventually match. Whenever you invoke an Alembic command, it runs this env.py script first to establish the context it needs to operate. Instead of relying on a fragile memory of manual database commands, you have a structured, repeatable process. The true value of the Alembic environment is not just that it runs commands safely, but that it creates a definitive, versioned history of exactly how your data structures evolved from day one. If you enjoy the podcast and want to support the show, you can find us by searching for Dev Stories EU on Patreon. I would like to take a moment to thank you for listening. It helps us a lot. Have a great one.